Welcome everyone. Welcome to the June South Jersey Creatives at the Table. Today we have a fantastic event for you. We're piggybacking on the artist reception for Persephone Rising that's happening at Perkins Center for the Arts in Collingswood. And we're so excited because we have Sharon Kiefer, who is a curator with Perkins, here to give us an introduction to all things Perkins Center for the Arts and to introduce us to the wonderful array of artists that are part of the exhibit today. So thank you everyone for taking time on this sunny afternoon to join us. And I'm sure that we are in for a treat. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Sharon and Kara Buss, who's the executive director over at Perkins, and to let them tell you all about the exhibit. Over to you. Oh, you're still on mute.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Kiefer. I'm the curator of exhibitions here at Perkins Center for the Arts. And this is
Kara Buss. I'm the executive director for Perkins Center for the Arts.
And we're so excited to be on site today because we are celebrating the artist reception for the exhibition called Persephone Rising, which is curated by Molly Carpenter and Terri Amig. And we have all of the artists inside, and they are eager to talk about their work live with you. We are here outside at Perkins. It's a beautiful evening. Our reception tonight for the artists starts at 5 p.m. through 8 p.m. 30 Irvin Avenue in Collingswood. We're at the Collingswood Gallery. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about?
The exhibition's open through July 17th, so there is time to see it, but definitely if you're out and about this evening, please come visit us.
Yeah, and this exhibition, Persephone Rising, I had the privilege of hanging it in the gallery, but Molly and Terri gathered the artists, they curated the artists and the theme of Persephone Rising. And they're going to be talking in a minute exactly what that means and what the theme means to them and all the artists involved. There were 13 women in this exhibition and 1 male. 2 are poets. And tonight we're only having hosting 9 out of the 13. So they are inside eager to talk about their work. It's a beautiful show. I encourage you to come on down to 30 Irvin Avenue. It's a great night. Everything's open in the gallery. We're having some cool jazz, piano music live. Meet the artists, have a glass of wine, have some snacks, enjoy outside. Our rain garden is in full bloom. So there's lots to do tonight in Collingswood. So hope to see you soon.
And I don't know, I'll just piggyback on what Sharon was saying. We're just, we're so honored and privileged to host this collective of artists. It's a beautiful representation of the incredible talent and kind of prolific art making that is happening here in South Jersey. And we're very fortunate to be here this evening with this group of artists. And we're looking forward to the rest of the evening as you are.
So with that, I am going to move inside and I'm going to introduce you to the 2 curators of this exhibition, Terri Amig and Molly Sanger Carpenter. And let's see how this goes. Have a look at the gallery here in Collingswood. See the work. There's people already mingling around. So I'd like to introduce you to Molly Sanger Carpenter and Terri Amig.
Hello.
They are the 2 curators of this beautiful exhibition, and I'll hand it over to them to start to tell you about what they curated.
Okay. So
Terri and I, we were talking, and we tend to kind of think on the same wavelength. So we came up with this idea.
That during COVID, we were still working, but changed our work habits and the way we thought about work, and just pulling it down into a smaller, more meditative, less maybe celebratory. When you work, I thought it's a celebration in some
Absolutely,
ways.
absolutely.
But it felt awkward thinking of it as a celebration during that time. Almost guilty. Like you felt almost guilty, feeling happy.
And there were certain things that I just couldn't do, and certain
Yeah,
things that I
yeah.
could do.
Same. And so we started to compare notes when we were talking about this and came up with this, idea, and wondered if other artists were feeling the same way. And then when we looked at the work we had created during that time, it may have been pared back, but mine was lines, just drawings. Then we talked to other people, and there it is.
Yes, and everybody sort of has something that's, changed a little bit in their work because of what everybody went through collectively.
Absolutely. I mean, I know looking at Peg's work, we had curated a different show in March, and we had a few of the same people in, and looking at her work that was created for that show, and then the work that was generated for this show, you can see that
Yes,
from Persephone.
yes, and everything works so well together in wonderful ways.
Yeah, and we didn't really have to do that much work.
Mhm.
I mean, the work did it itself. Because we did take the right people.
It sort of came together like it was just meant to be.
Yeah.
I know personally, I couldn't do any painting. I've been doing a lot of paintings, and I know sculpture so well that I just went back to my roots.
That's it. You had to go, maybe that makes sense. Why I just wanted to do lines. And we were talking not even shading. I just wanted to feel the lightness of the line, heaviness of the line. It's just meditation.
Exactly.
And almost passing time, but not wasting time.
And time kind of, when you're in that zone, it kind of just goes.
Yes.
Because when everybody was sort of locked down, I think that people that didn't have their art to work with, they kind of were just looking for things to do.
Absolutely. And we didn't get any weight. Sure.
Oh, okay.
You go first.
Well, my work, like I said, I have been doing a lot of painting, and I got away from it, and I went back to my sculptural roots. And the mascarons that are shown here are really, the mascaron is a form of protection that people in the Renaissance used to hang over their doorways to ward off the evil spirits. And so I felt like it was appropriate to make that. And so kind of my take on it. Because when I was in Italy before all this happened, I saw so many different kinds of mascarons and was inspired that way. So I guess that kind of formed a little seed in my brain, and it took off and grew.
For these, I think I wanted to just go into a micro world and almost feel like I was in a different universe, that like I'm just a little bug in a different universe, and see the intricacies of things by just line. So just line drawings, taking, I can pull things out and bring them into different scale.
And ironically, they just kind of go together.
Add a little more up close. Can we get a closer look at any of the work that's behind you? Just a sneak peek. Oh, those are beautiful. So Molly, you said that you returned to your roots to start sculpting again through the pandemic. Have you stuck with that, or have you moved on to another medium now that the pandemic is, fingers crossed, behind us and things are sort of opening up again? Are you still feeling like that's the area where you want to focus, or have you changed your focus now?
I feel a shift back to painting again. Maybe it's the taking off the mask. I don't know. But yeah, I think this was a temporary thing. I think that it changed me, but I want to move forward.
Wonderful.
Okay. Julie, if there aren't any more questions for Terri and Molly, I'd like to move on to the next artist.
We can certainly do that. And let me
Okay.
say to any of our guests that are joining us, if you have questions for the artists, you can put them in the chat box. I'll collect those and then I can funnel those back to the artists when we have time to chat with them. Thank you, ladies.
Next artist in the exhibition is Chloe Panera.
Hi. Should I just speak about my work or? Okay. So my name's Chloe Lisa Panero. I went to school for painting and drawing, and since then I've kind of diverged from that into mixed media and collage. I'm a Philly-based artist born and raised in Philadelphia. And a lot of my work is inspired by my everyday experience and encounters, and I'm interested in how image and objects and material can like help shape our identity, both like personal and collective identity. And so the body of work that I have in this show is mixed media paintings, collages, yeah, with found objects. Yeah, so
I'll ask you the same
Oh.
question, Chloe. You worked on these things during the lockdown. Are you feeling a shift now that things are opening up again and we're seeing some sunshine and some, you know, relief from having to be trapped in our homes and wearing masks everywhere we go? And how has that affected the work that you're doing now?
So I've actually, I made these in the very beginning of the lockdown. It was like a kind of exciting moment to get back into the studio and actually have that time to make stuff. And then since like during the course of the lockdown, I like started to transition out of my studio and kind of into like this digital space. And so for the past year, I've been working on a book that's inspired by the digital collage work that I do. And so I just sent that out to be printed. So that's kind of like, I've kind of like given birth to that. And now I'm looking forward to what I'm going to do next, since that was a big project. So I haven't really gotten into making anything new. But that was a great question. Thank you.
Well, the book sounds very interesting. You should definitely share that information with us, and I can share that with our attendees and help you to promote it.
Sure, I'd love that. It should be printed in about a week or two.
Wonderful. Keep us posted.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Okay, so Julie, we're going to move on to Jackie Sandro Greenwell. She is a ceramic artist and the director at the Arts and Innovation Center in Millville. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Jackie. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
So tell us about your work for the exhibit.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Tell us a little about the work you did for the Persephone Rising exhibit.
Okay, we'll move over a little bit so you can see the piece. There you go. Thank you, Sharon. Well, I really love the theme of the show. As we all know, this past year and counting, we've been sort of emerging out of the darkness. And Terri and Amig, which is one of the other artists in the show, where we were talking about how I said, I'm doing a lot of black and white stuff. So she's like, yeah, you know, everybody seems to me too. And I don't know what that was, but it's kind of, you know, void of color, void of life, downtime. I don't know. Just kind of sort of happened. So when she said the Persephone Rising show was kind of going from the dark to the light, or kind of emerging, I thought that was a great theme for the show. So that's what's happening in the piece behind me. That's Persephone kind of rising from the underground back to the light, and the same with the plucked piece. Same kind of thing, kind of the myth is Persephone going by the water's edge, and then Haiti coming up and, you know, bringing her down to the to hell, really. So kind of the thing, black and white, and then something very vibrant in the middle, representing Persephone. So
That's beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about the technical components of the piece? Are they individual flowers? And
yeah,
they're about the making of it.
They were individually made, crazy, obsessively. Starts out as clay, and then they're fired once, and I use a combination of underglaze, which is fired on, and then I'll go back in sometimes with watercolor or acrylic to kind of make things pop a little bit. And you know, I didn't glaze them because I didn't want them to be real shiny and glossy. Plucked is a little different. I wanted the inside of the pomegranate to be very enticing, so that's kind of juicy and inside. So I did use glaze, but everything starts from clay, and pretty much fired once with underglazes or glazes, and then sometimes I'll mix the media. I also made all the rocks; they're all hollow. That was really fun to do as well. So.
It's beautiful. It's
Thanks.
beautiful. Did it take a long time to hang? Because are they all individual?
Yeah, some are individual, but there's actually like a sort of an armature of clay underneath. So it's kind of like a half round with a flat back. So it hangs. There's a few parts to it. But yeah, the flowers on the wall are just individually glued on there.
We want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Your secret's out now.
I know you're giving away all my secrets.
Well, it's lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie, we have the next artist lined up ready for you.
And maybe
Come
we
see
can get it
everybody.
before we close, but we've had a request to see the pomegranate before we wrap the event. So we'll move on.
Okay, I have to walk you across the gallery, okay? This is Jackie's other piece called Plucked. It's the pomegranate. You can see the juicy glazing on the interior of the pomegranate. It's really cool in person. All of these rocks that she has surrounding the pomegranate are also made of ceramic. So you can get an idea. Can you see it?
Yes, it's fantastic. And all of the rocks are individually made as well?
Yes.
Wow, that's great.
And we have skylights here in Collingswood in the gallery, and at different times of the day, the sunshine, you can see the sun on the floor over there. It will highlight this piece. The sun will fall exactly perfectly onto the pomegranate.
That's fantastic. It is such a great space for displaying.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, who's next?
Okay, we're going to walk back over to this side of the gallery. And Grace Denoya Barchek is waiting in front of her beautiful watercolors. This is Grace.
Hi.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work and the exhibition?
Well, I'm come from a book illustrator's background, and I'm currently working in watercolor. And what I do is I have 2 studios, and I'm a studio artist. I don't do plein air. And in one studio in New Orleans, I get all my ideas, put them together, and do the sketches. And in the other studio in Jersey, which is in southern Jersey, and it's a relaxed atmosphere, then I do the paintings. And the painting part is very intuitive. After I do a very detailed sketch, then I work on the painting, and it just kind of flows in a direction which I kind of don't know what direction I'm going in. Sometimes I feel like I'm a prize fighter or an Olympian, where you go into, to do your thing, and then you never know what the outcome is going to actually be like. I sometimes take them to the brink where they're almost like either disaster or wonderfulness. But for this show, with the pandemic being last March, I thought to myself, oh, I have a lot of time on my hands because I won't be socializing and doing all the things that we usually do. So I thought I've got to challenge myself and take my time and think of something that's very time consuming. So what I did was I started with there's 3 paintings here, and they're statuary themes. And the first one I did during the pandemic is the court of the twin sisters. And it was an image of a statue and greenery. And then I mirrored it. So I made it into 2 statues. And that was more difficult because whatever I painted on the right, I kind of had to do the same thing on the left so that they would mirror each other.
This is the piece she's speaking about.
It's lovely work. How long does it take you to complete a piece? So how long for the statuary? Did hours did you?
Probably like maybe like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I only work on them like intermittently. Like I might work for 3 hours a day. I'm not like a studio artist that goes in at 9 and leaves at 5. If everything's going well, it looks like I'm not even doing anything. I'll paint, then I'll go watch a TV show, have a cup of tea, and come back. If things aren't working out the way I wish, then I'm in there killing myself for like many, many, many hours. So usually if everything goes well, it would take a couple of weeks. If I do a commission, usually like a week or so. And then I was saying about the statuary, I did one called The First Song. I had done a few of the same image, and then I did them in different colorways. And this one is like a soft pink and green, and it just reminded me of Persephone in springtime. Then I also did another one called The Three Graces. Well, my name is Grace, so I always have this thing for the Three Graces. So I thought, oh, I'll do this. And it was a little time consuming compared to normal because it had 3 figures, which I like to work in multiple figures a lot of the time. Then after I did my statuary ones, I pulled some from the theme of separation, like romantic love and separation from friends and people that you care about. And I did one called Love's Blur. And the girl is looking out at someone, whether it's a lover or someone she cares about or a best friend. And that one, that was, the model was myself. And then also there was another one on the theme of canceled items and love. And that was the one right here. It's called Dinner Couture. I was thinking about like canceled proms, canceled weddings, and rebirth coming back. And then I decided to do a few about children. I was a children's book illustrator, so I thought, well, I'll pull some from children's themes. That one that Molly has, or Sharon has now, is Broken Childhood. And this one is Looking to the Future. It's called Seer. And then there's one called Claire de Lune, which is the passing of time. And lastly, there were 2 paintings where it was from the darkness coming out into the light. And one is Joan of Arc. Remember, there's 2 angels that are very dark. And then there's a figure of an angel coming out in costume. And that was from a parade in New Orleans. And the last one that I haven't talked about yet is Heather. And Heather is kind of coming out into the sunlight. The one side of her is in shadow, and then she's coming out into the sunlight. And I titled it Heather because the flower heather gives good luck and protection, and the background is purple. Did you want me to talk about my technique or anything?
I think we'll move on to the next artist, but thank you. Are there any other questions for Grace, Julie?
I don't see any other questions in the chat right now, but we might get some coming through. But thank you, Grace. Your work is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you. And also thanks for everyone viewing and coming into the gallery. And thanks to Sharon and Terri and Molly. I have it on a piece of paper.
There's a lot of people involved in this.
Thank you so much. Bye.
The next artist in the exhibition is Penny Beck. Hello.
Hi, Penny. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Do you want to tell us a little about the work you did for this exhibit?
Sure. Well, I usually work in a subjective matter as far as subject matter is concerned, and I wanted to do something a little different. I wasn't feeling any inspiration for something that was representational, so I decided to do something a little abstract. So I wanted my forms to feel like floating or falling, like a falling flower, falling leaves or something like that. So that's where I started anyway.
Wonderful. Can we see some of the pieces behind you? Or do you have a favorite of the ones that are in the exhibit? Or do you have a personal favorite?
Sure. Well, Sharon just took off her. So this one is my favorite one. It's all collage, and I did I incorporated paper from billboards in it. And then so it's all collaged pieces of paint, basically.
We can see the detail. What was it about the lockdown and pandemic that was the catalyst for these works? What were the themes that kind of were inspiring you with these particular pieces?
I was inspired to kind of keep things loose and colorful. I didn't, like I said, I didn't really have images in mind. I just kind of was doodling one day and came up with this oval shape, and I kind of liked it, turned it sideways, turned it vertical, and I just been kind of doing things based on that.
Have you changed your work and what you're focusing on now that we're coming out of the pandemic, or are you still?
No, I'm still actually getting more inspired to kind of take this into different, a new phase, maybe different shapes, maybe a little bit bigger, size-wise.
Do you typically work larger or smaller than these, or is this?
Mostly these. This is like 22 by 30, so it's kind of a medium size. I have a very limited, I used to have a pickup truck where I could carry stuff in the back, but now I have a little car. So that's one of the factors. I keep it smaller.
Well, it's lovely work.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions?
What's that?
Our group, I'm asking the group that's viewing if they have any questions for you specifically. If you do, please type them in the chat box.
Okay.
So how has it been working with this group of artists for this particular exhibit? What inspires you from the other?
I actually know half of them already, but now I'm meeting the other half. So it's been really great to get to know everybody.
Hey.
Okay, I'm going to give you a quick sweep of Penny's work here. See up close the collage. And we're ready to move on to the next artist.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Penny. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The next artist is a garden sculptor.
All right, do I get to look at myself?
You do.
Oh, how much fun. Hi, Margot.
This is Margot.
Hi, Margot.
Hi, and who's on the other side?
Well, we have a group of people here. My name's Julie. I am the Associate Director with South Jersey Cultural Alliance. And then we have a group of people here that want to know a little bit more about what you've made here for this exhibit and what was your inspiration for the pieces.
All right, well, first off, a heartfelt welcome to everybody. This whole process, bringing me here and getting to this point has been I'm a landscape architect. I play with clay because I wanted to add architectural features and ornament to an aerial aqueduct in my garden. And that process, I thought was going to be pretty simple. I'd just go into a clay studio and make what I wanted and be able to erect it. So now we're about 7-8 years later. And I'm making my sculptural pieces here to really add whimsy to a landscape, similar to what you would see if you went up to Seward Johnson's sculpture garden up in near Trenton, I guess that is. So my work here is really the first time I've ever stepped out and shared it with anybody. I have been hiding, I guess, and so this is a personal coming sense and learning how to share my work and celebrate it with others, meet other artists, and use that community to help me grow in this journey. As I look at shaping more and more time and space, I actually just opened up more studio space and personal space in my garage at home by removing a old car toy so that I could build more of these sculptures. And they can basically become any height you want. You can take a top off, and there's a pipe underneath. And so every single one of these sculptures can be a vertical fountain. So that's a lot of fun to be able to squirt water up a hole in a garden and add that sound and visual. So if you want to look around, so the coolest thing I'd say about this whole piece set is this is the first piece that I colored all the clay bits at the same time. In the past, I had done one piece at a time, and this was the first time I really created entire pieces and then selected the glazes and went forward with creating a composition in a sense.
It's beautiful work. So you work out of your studio at home, and where is that located? You said you were brought here. I'm curious where
I was brought here over to the Jersey side. I was brought here by my best friend, who is Molly Sanger Carpenter, and I am from Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. And my work is, as I say, predominantly in vegetation and resource management. But when you work with plants, you find that plants definitely have their boring time in the garden. You want to add a little fun and whimsy. And by adding these sculptural elements and moving them around the garden through the course of the years that I'm putting out there, it certainly makes it more fun and surprise and an enjoyable experience to be in the garden.
Lovely.
Thank you.
I want one for my garden now, so we'll
Yeah.
check out later.
They're really cool. They look really cool in person. Well, we have
Thank
one
you.
more. Thank you, Margot.
Thank you all. Please come visit.
We have one more artist that's with us tonight, Annalise. While Annalise is getting into position, I want to show you one of Terri Amig's other pieces that she has in this exhibition. And also a piece by Kimberly Camp. She couldn't be with us tonight, but this is her piece.
Beautiful work.
And Annalise, give you an idea of what her work looks like first. You almost have to study this up close right off the bat because it's so amazing and involved.
There is a lot to take in there. That's wonderful.
There is. That's a piece. Now that you have an idea of the work that she completes, I'll let her tell you a little bit about it. Yes, that's a great spot.
Are you going to ask me questions? Or
Julie will ask you the questions. You could just introduce yourself.
right now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Annalise Van Dommelen. I live in Lambertville, New Jersey. I'm a painter and a printmaker mostly. I also dabble in other mediums, multi-mediums, collographs, stone lithography, etchings I've done, silkscreen, many different things. So, and now I'm at this point where I kind of combine a lot of things together to make one piece.
It's fantastic work. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the specific pieces in this exhibit?
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, piece was a canvas that someone gave me, and it had some encaustic work on it already, circular thing. So I pulled off the encaustics and worked. It's totally different than the painting that I got. This piece is a 3-part holograph printed with acrylic inks and then laid down on a board and with Venetian plastic around it. And then the painting is done on top of it. These 2 pieces were done during this last year, along with many, many others, probably about 300 pieces of artwork during this COVID period. This is from a silk screen in the middle that I had done at Haystack in Maine. And I had, stacks of silk screens there. So I started working with the silk screens that sort of didn't hold their own. And the top one is 3 holograph plates in the middle, and then Venetian plaster around acrylic paint, handmade stencils, and just very involved. I like detail. I'm very much into detail. So everything is close up, rendered, and far away to make sure it all holds together. And that piece was a Phyllis Mill piece. It was also the same holograph plate as the reddish one, but only part of it. You can see the point on both of them. And then it has a watercolor, acrylic, and cold wax medium on top of it. I've decided that instead of framing watercolors, I was going to cold wax them, and then I could eliminate the glass. So that worked out really well for me. So, because my studio is large, but no studio is large enough to store stuff. So. And this is a COVID piece. It's called Touch and Surrender, or Torch and Surrender. It's kind of about experience of giving in and igniting your passion at the same time. The top piece is Stranded, which is kind of it started with a monotype and then it turned into an oil painting. Kind of just being sort of left in a place where you don't know exactly where to go next, I guess. I like working with themes of despair, loneliness, running figures, things like that, balance. And then that piece, this is the same silk screen from I did at Haystack. It's the one here, but it was on dyed paper and with the Tree of Life in the center. And this was very involved because it was bookbinding board and mat board cut to create the dimensionality of it. And then a lot of paint buildup around it. It's very dark, but it's sort of meant to be. And then some cast items. I have like a trove of cast items that I cast. So I like working dimensionally as well as flat that looks like dimensional. So I like when it sort of fools your eye into dimensionality too.
So you say you like to work in themes of despair. Then did you find the pandemic to be extra inspiring?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Despair to go around.
I always had to have jobs to support myself, so this was great for me because it's the first time I could be full-time in my studio and not doing other. I had a painting crew, a house painting crew. We were excellent. We're all artists, and we were very detailed, and it was a good business, but it kind of fell apart during the pandemic. So I was just in my studio constantly. I did about 300 pieces of artwork, all different sizes. So.
Wow, 300.
It just sort of dried up recently, so I'm trying to figure out what the next step is.
Wow.
But the COVID thing for me, I had to reinvent myself constantly to not get bored. That was the main thing. And I have a printing press, and I have all the equipment that anybody would ever want. So, but I had to keep myself interested, so I would just change mediums all the time. So, and try new ones, and watch a lot of YouTubes on jelly printing, which became fun and interesting. And there were like 3 good YouTubes on jelly prints. The rest are like terrible. So, but I saw them all because you always learn something, from each one. So.
Well, that can be your next project. You can make a good video. Share it.
This is the second video I've ever made in my life, and I'm not. not what I do. So,
Not a
yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad that you decided to break out of your shell today and join
Thank
us.
you. I
Your work
appreciate it.
is so
Thank you.
interesting. Have you found that since the despair is lifting that, oh, we're moving on. Okay.
We're moving on. The
Moving
despair
on.
is lifting.
Despair
The
is
despair is lifting. Okay. Jackie Boyd could not be with us tonight. She's not feeling well. She is a painter, but during COVID, kind of branched out and combined her painting with fabrics and collage. And she did a lot of her own dyeing. And she calls these pieces little windows of what she was seeing outside in an abstract fibers collage kind of way. They're really very beautiful. Each one is different. You could see her stitching and her dyeing of the fabrics. So she has 5 there, and on this wall, 5 others, all very beautiful. Kind of give you an idea of her work.
Lovely. I can definitely see the window. But now
Yeah.
that you said that.
And we wish her well and hope she feels better soon. And on the other side of this wall is some more work by Chloe Panera that you spoke with earlier. Very colorful. And then on the back wall is some poetry by Ashley O'Neill and also Jim Culleney. They're the 2 poets that contributed work to this show. And one last artist that wasn't able to make it tonight because she had an operation is Bel Castro. She's from the Harrisburg area. And these wonderful, jubilant paintings. You can see she uses some collage technique with her painting as well. Really very cool. Try to give you an idea. You can see her figures are moving, dancing. Nice use of color. She creates a happy feeling. I'll give you one more sweep of the gallery.
It's that you guys
See everybody mingling around.
You can really see there's a nice balance of light and dark and that sort of winter and spring of emotion where you have both sides represented very, very well. You guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they curated the artists with that in mind, that each one of them has that aspect in their work in a different way. And you really have to study the work and you say, oh yeah, I can see where that would pertain to Persephone with the light and the dark, or the winter and the spring, or being inside versus coming out after COVID, however you want to interpret that symbolism of Persephone. It's a great show. We have an artist reception tonight. The artists are going to be hanging around 5 to 8 p.m. We have some jazz piano happening at 5:30. We have snacks and some wine and lots of outdoor walking space and our beautiful garden. So I invite you to come on down tonight to Collingswood, 30 Irvin Avenue in Collingswood, Perkins Center for the Arts. And thank you so much, Julie Hain and SJCA and the Creatives Roundtable for inviting Perkins to be your guest today. If anybody has any other questions, I would love to answer questions, or I can guide you back to an artist.
It doesn't look like there's any other questions in the chat. We have a lot of congratulations, a lot of this is so beautiful. Everyone's work is so wonderful. And I think we all kind of echo that sentiment. It's a fantastic show. Everyone should come and see it in person at the artist reception tonight. It's a lovely night to be out and about as well. We're sort of at the end of our hour session, so you're going to get started with the artist reception at 5. I don't want to keep you from your duties there, but I do want to say thank you so much for letting us take a look at the exhibit and having us be able to speak directly with the artists and hear about their work. It's a fantastic show, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you can't get down here tonight, we are open 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, and Saturday, 10 until 2. So come on down. This show hangs until July 17th. So hope to see you sometime. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And if everyone could take just a moment and fill out a short survey about today's presentation. The link is right here on the thank you slide. I'll also be sending out a recording of this session, as well as some information about Perkins and the exhibit and the artists themselves. So watch for that in the next couple of days here. And again, congratulations. It's a wonderful exhibit. Everyone go out and see it in person. And we will get together again soon for our next South Jersey Creatives at the Table. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Julie.